Today's topic is very nostalgic for myself because I'll be speaking about a lens that I owned in 2017. It was around a year after I picked up my first DSLR. It was a Nikon D3300 with a kit lens. I was around 14 years old at that time, and that's when I was slowly pursuing my interest in photography, and that progressed into filmmaking. I used to watch a lot of YouTubers like Peter McKinnon, Film Riot and so on, and I remember Peter McKinnon making a video about a 50mm lens of an aperture 1.8. That's when I was really interested in the 50mm lens, and then I found out the price was around £140 at that time, I think, for a Nikon mount, and that was quite a lot for me at that time. So I thought there wasn't really any other option. That's when I came across this lens, the Yongnuo 50mm 1.8. This lens was available in a Nikon mount and a Canon mount. There must be a lot more mounts available with the Yongnuo lenses right now. When I was first using this lens, I remember doing photography outside and instantly being surprised and amazed with the blurry background that I could achieve with this lens. I remember doing many projects with this lens. From street photography, I did get some epic cinematic footage when I visited my local safari park. I was very intrigued when it came to nature cinematography. Watching nature documentaries like Planet Earth 2, it really opened my eyes. I also used this lens on my short films and my personal YouTube projects. When it came to 2019, I realized I needed to upgrade my camera, so I went from a Nikon to a Lumix. With this camera, it allowed me to experiment more with my cinematography because it had features like IBIS, Cinelac D, Cinelac V, and it filmed in 4K. But there was one issue, and that was that the Nikon F mount does not fit onto the Micro Four Thirds. So I had to get a Nikon mount to a Micro Four Thirds, which allowed me to use it on my Lumix G80. There was a mod that allowed you to achieve that anamorphic look, and that was placing a cardboard with a oval shape cut in the middle with some fishing wire, which allowed you to achieve the anamorphic look and that stretched bokeh look, which gave off that epic cinematic anamorphic look. I remember coming back and looking at the footage, and I was so amazed with the way it looked. The anamorphic look, that blurry background. I couldn't believe the look that I got from this modification on my lens. It was amazing. I wouldn't recommend doing that because at that time, I didn't realize that the cardboard may leave some dust onto the sensor, which is the last thing that you want. So I wouldn't do that again. There might be other ways to modify your lens to get that cinematic anamorphic look, such as anamorphic adapters from Siri, and also there are more reasonably priced anamorphic lenses out there compared to 2017. I also forgot to mention this lens back then was £50. Compared to the Nikon, it was around 150, 130, something like that. This was only 50. The Micro Four Thirds camera, the sensor is small, so less light is being let in. With the aperture 1.8, that allowed more light to be let in, and I could film in low light situations because of this lens. I have got a few more lenses that I built throughout my career, but this lens is very nostalgic to me. It reminds me of my early days when I first started out. I would like to say a massive thank you to Yongnuo, because without this lens, I don't know where I would have been. It's very nostalgic because with this lens I learned a lot about filmmaking. I could express myself creatively as a filmmaker, achieving certain frames that I couldn't achieve with the kit lens. This lens now sits on my shelf and it's almost like a trophy when I look back at it, and it reminds me of the days when I started out. It is a testimony of all the time that I took out learning this craft, all the hours that I put in. It reminds me of the early days when I was learning the basics of filmmaking. If there's any lens that makes you feel nostalgic, comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.